What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Shattuck Stick dropping some hot frog on this mic. Today we're going to be talking about Sonic Frontiers, more specifically the top 5 things Sonic Frontiers needs. Now, you think this is going to be one of those things that's easy to come up with, but it really isn't, because there are a few factors playing into this. This is the first AAA Sonic game in a really long time. I mean, the last time we had a truly AAA Sonic game was Sonic Lost World. I'm tired of the Unleash was the last big budget Sonic game. The last full price Sonic game was Sonic Lost World. And on top of that being the, last truly full price Sonic game where I felt like any type of work was being put into it and the developers genuinely did care at some level what they were putting into the product despite what came out at the end. It's also the first truly open world Sonic game. Yes, we've had little elements of open world and, different hub worlds and stuff in Sonic games in the past. I'm going to actually bring that up in, some of my points, but they haven't been to this scale. This is supposed to be Sonic's Breath of the Wild moment. Let's just put it out there. So I think it's extremely pertinent that we actually discuss what the game needs to do right, especially knowing that the game is going to be open world in the first AAA Sonic game in a while. Some of these aren't even down to quality. Some of these are just down to functional gameplay things that they need to do in order for the game to feel engaging, feel fun, and be a great purchase that you don't feel like you wasted your money on, whether or not you like the game. But before we jump into these points, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to keep yourself, updated for when I upload. Gonna be uploading more Frontiers content. Also, make sure you follow your boy on Twitter and TikTok. I'm trying to get to 100 on TikTok, or 100 followers on TikTok and 400 followers on Twitter. So it'd be highly appreciated. But with that out of the way, let's begin. So the first thing I think that Sonic Frontiers needs to achieve is have linear and focused platforming sections, at least within the open world, so that Sonic doesn't feel like he's in Green Hills Paradise. If you know what Green Hills Paradise is, or don't know what it is, my bad. It's this fan game essentially where you have this open world Green Hill, and basically it's just a bunch of rolling hills and stuff, and a lot of people liked it back in the day because it was cool conceptually, and we had never seen something like that from the fan game community. Which, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with Green Hills from it being a tech demo, or from the tech demo perspective. You go around, find all the Chaos Emeralds, that's it. It turns supersonic at the end and you're like, woo, that was great. But it didn't really have much substance. I didn't feel like I was really platforming or anything. I was just, going on hills and rolling and going fast. It was cool in the moment, but after about 20 or so minutes, you get bored of it. And that's what I'm worried about in Sonic Frontiers. See, every game, regardless of how you feel about it or not, has some level of linearity. Sonic games, by nature, because they are level-based platformers more often than not, are linear by nature. The level design isn't super open-ended in the sense that Sonic is going left and right and going all over the place, and it doesn't matter where he goes in the stage, he can still wind up at the end. No. Usually there exists branching paths which send you ultimately to the same end, but you're rewarded or, punished for taking these different paths with more challenge or more speed, whatever it may be. And that's how Sonic games have traditionally worked. And what I'm worried about is there being no type of flow or purpose to this open world. Most open world games have some type of preset path in mind, or at least a lot of set points in the world, so the player can first of all tell where they are in relation to other points on the map, but also give them some type of, general outline follow when they're exploring that open world. Say, for instance, in Breath of the Wild, yes, you can go straight to the end from the beginning of the game. That was one of the big selling points of Breath of the Wild. But that's obviously not the intentions of the developer. They obviously want you to go to Hateno Village and Kakariko Village before you really begin your adventure in the game, so that you have some sense of flow and direction. I mean, almost everybody winds up going to the Zora domain first, rather than going to, the Ritos or the Gorons or, the Gerudos. It's just one of those things where, yes, you can do whatever you want, but the developers are going to push you towards a certain path to ensure that you can actually progress to the game, and so you don't have the feeling of being lost. And I feel like that's something Sonic Frontiers is going to severely need. Also, I feel like they're going to need that so that the player doesn't progress through the game too fast. they're gonna need to put up, you know, some type of wall or some type of challenge that requires you to get other things to get to the end. I don't know what it may be, but we'll see. Overall though, I think there needs to be some type of focus, and there need to be more focused platforming sections and linear platforming sections in the game, at least in the open world, to give it a bit more purpose. The next thing I want to talk about is Sonic Frontiers needing a competent story. One of the things that we've so severely lacked in Sonic since like Sonic Colors. Many people may argue with me on this point, but I think Sonic Colors is probably the last competent story we've had. Yes, issues with dialogue aside, I think it's a pretty competent story, especially in comparison to a lot of the other Sonic stories we've had. Maybe it's not the best, but it's competent. But with that little rant out of the way, one of the things that a platformer in general needs is really a functional story. Almost every platformer you see has some type of functional story telling you why you need to go from point A to point B and from point B to point C. Just a reason why you shouldn't just skip all the levels in between. And one thing I think Sonic games have a habit of doing, if they're not doing the thing where they screw with the lore and just introduce a bunch of unnecessary crap that feels like it's not going to be relevant later, or having inconsistent, you know, characterization of characters and inconsistent quality of dialogue, is I feel like in the past we relied too much on the over centralization of, say, things like the Chaos Emeralds, and then it's just a myriad of issues. And I just feel like things just don't need to be too complicated. Yes, introduce new things to the story, introduce new things to Sonic's lore, Sonic's world. I'm fine with that, but don't complicate it. You know, I really sat down and thought about it, and I think genuinely out of all the 3D games, the best story in the series is probably Sonic Adventure 2 in relation to all the other stories. Now, some people may argue with me, you know, Sonic and the Black Knight. I'm not considering that because I consider that a spinoff, not a part of the main line, even though it is a 3D game. And then there's Sonic Unleashed, which I feel like is, at the time, it wasn't necessarily what Sonic needed in a story for it to, I guess, feel like it gets pushed into the next generation. Let me explain. One of the issues really with Sonic has been over centralizing plot points like the Chaos Emeralds. Yes, they're in Sonic Adventure 2, but I feel like that's the last game that really should have had them be important to the scale and degree that they were for a long time. But on top of it, you know, having probably the most unique and the most in-depth use of the Chaos Emeralds, because it feels like in the rest of the games, including Unleashed, that you're just collecting them because some ancient evil or some ancient good, whatever, something ancient needs them. Sonic Adventure 2, it's because it does serve that function, but it also serves the function of powering, you know, this man-made thing, and then you eventually having to stop that man-made thing in the end. On top of that, Sonic Adventure 2 doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's just serious enough for you to feel like there are stakes and to feel like there's an actual sense of danger within the characters and within the world itself. Yes, Sonic is being Wahoo Wacky Pizza Man Dante from Devil May Cry, but at the same time, he understands that his world is in danger. One of the issues with Sonic Forces, I feel like, which tried to return to that, is that it never felt like Sonic understood that there was a sense of danger. He just was so cocky and so arrogant, despite being caught by the bad guys, that he knew in all reality, once he got out, it was over for Eggman. Whereas in, say, for instance, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic gets locked up by the world government and is thoroughly upset about it. Yes, you know, he has some quips here and there like he's Spider-Man or something, but at the end of the day, their reaction to things are ultimately different, not because they're not both cocky, but because one understands the, I guess, gravitas of the situation he's in, and the other one doesn't. I don't know, I just feel like we haven't had a truly competent Sonic story in a while, and while I'm excited to see what comes with Sonic Forces, I'm not going to be too upset if it's bad. I'm going to keep it real. Most Sonic stories aren't very good, but still, it's something that I feel like we need, considering that I feel like they're going to charge $70 for this game instead of $60. But the next thing I think they need to do is make exploring the world and traversing it the challenge, so the world doesn't really feel like a hollow space of checkpoints and towers. I think John Linneman said it best when he described Death Stranding and how it's different from other open world games, and I think this also bleeds into games like Breath of the Wild. In those games, Breath of the Wild and like Death Stranding and all these newer type of open world games, traversing the world has become the problem, and not necessarily the points in, you know, the checkpoints and stuff that you hit on the map. Like, one of the first things they have you do in Breath of the Wild, say for instance, is chop down a tree that you have to walk across with the possibility of falling off quite easily, and then climbing up a mountain that you can easily fall off of and die. Again, if you've played Breath of the Wild, you won't think that's anything new, but at the time it was kind of revolutionary because we hadn't had really many open world games attempt this in this way. The challenge is no longer, oh, I have to go to this point and then kill this thing. The challenge is, I have to get there. And that's what I think Sonic Frontiers needs to achieve, especially because it's a the challenge in platformers is getting from point A to point and not necessarily killing the enemies in between. And that's what I think that this game needs. Don't pull an Ubisoft. One of the issues I have with Ubisoft games is it's this, you know, checkpoint to checkpoint bullcrap, right? Where they put a bunch of stuff in the world, none of it feel like it really connects. Yes, you know where things are in relation to each other, but it feels like, oh, I'm gonna go to this base, I'm gonna go kill all these people, I'm gonna go to the next base, oh, I need to open this part of the map, let me go here. Never feels like there's really any rhyme or reason or purpose to the things you do in those games. It's all just a bunch of tedious, I guess, busy work. That's why I think Ubisoft games, more often than not, have just been criticized over the years. They become old, stale. They're all the same game. At least every game post Far Cry 3 has basically been the same game. Another thing I feel like it needs to do in the same realm, in the same point, is implement proper skills that allow us to traverse the game world in a unique way. Like, introduce parkour back into the series. I feel like that was the biggest thing we lost from Sonic Lost World, is parkour, because it genuinely worked. They didn't really teach you the system and how it fully worked, but once you grasped how it fully worked and grasped all the controls and like the double tapping R or the trigger or whatever to vault over things and really keep your momentum and the pace of gameplay going, you understood that parkour system. And I think that we should see this in Sonic Frontiers, especially considering I want to climb up walls and mountains and stuff in this game. Like, a truly open world Sonic game is something that I think every Sonic fan has at least thought of or wanted at some point in their life. And I want to have it be the coolest open world possible, is all I'm saying. But on to our next point in this open world discussion is, I need them to give us a breathing and living world and a Sonic that feels alive. One of the issues I feel like with Sonic Forces were not the character model. If you haven't seen my video on that already, make sure you check it out. It's not the character model. I feel like the issue with that game is like animation. Sonic doesn't have any like other idle animations outside of his little classic Sonic pose, which I think the pose in of itself is more dynamic than what we got with Sonic Generations and Unleashed. But at least those games had some different idle animations that harken back to the classics in a unique way. I like the foot tap, the Sonic going to sleep, the, you know, him getting tired. Like, I need all that back. I want Sonic to have character. Yes, I'm not gonna be sitting there waiting around for, you know, these idle animations to start, but if I put my controller down and come back, it's just those little touches. It shows a little bit more care was put in by the developers to essentially make this world. Also, just give us some, you know, animations in the world and some movement in the world to make it feel like it's living and breathing. Give us some living creatures, you know, just some random animals, whether it be like the flicky style animals, you know, the small animals you get in the robots in the classic games, or some realistic looking animal. I just wanted to feel like a living and breathing world. I don't want to just be exploring jungle for us to see only trees and vines. That's your life. Some trees, some vines, and some grass. Yes, those are living things, but they're just plants. I want some animals and stuff in there also. Maybe we have NPCs. We may never know. We've only seen a very, 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 very small sliver of the game. I'm wondering what they're going to do with the rest of the world. But our final point, or my final point here, is I think there need to be properly designed and themed stages. One of my issues with Sonic Forces is that I like that they were trying to create a cohesive world for Sonic, at least the planet in which the Sonic characters live on, but at the same time it wound up feeling like they copy and pasted a lot from stage to stage, especially with its theme. I just like to see unique stages and themes throughout the world. I'd also want the level design to feel engaging and allow for the player to have control nearly at all moments. I get it. You gotta have some automation in Sonic games. Sonic going that fast is not reasonable to have the player control him at all times, or at least at the highest level at all times. At the same time, I feel like you need to keep the player engaged. Another issue that Sonic Forces had was a lot of the stages you could legitimately boost the win. Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Generations, that wasn't an issue. In most of those stages, you couldn't really boost the win. You had to do a lot of platforming, or in the case of Unleashed, a lot of quick stepping, drifting. But nevertheless, there was a lot of engagement from the player, and the player needed to know how to control Sonic and what they were doing. I mean, this is why Sonic Generations is held to have the best level design in the series. It's quite honestly a masterclass in platformer level design. And it's kind of asinine that people don't talk about how brilliant that game is. Like, yeah, Sonic fans will occasionally bring it up, oh, Sonic Generations is a great game. But it is honestly astonishing how good that game is. And I want to reach those levels again with Sonic Frontiers. I hope Sonic Team achieves that again, because that is something that I've wanted for a really long time. But also, make sure there's a balance of speed and difficulty. Like Sonic Forces, again, the player didn't have the most control over Sonic. The stages felt very uninspired, but there was no balance between speed and difficulty. It just never felt like when I was going faster, the game would be harder. I just was going fast. And don't get me wrong, in a Sonic game, the primary thing you want to do is go fast. But it didn't feel like while I was boosting at top speed that I was gonna get hurt by anything, whether it be stage hazards or enemies. And I think that's a really fundamental issue. And I hope Sonic Frontiers rectify this. And then on top of that, this is going to go into this. This is less about level design, but I threw this in here because I couldn't find anywhere else to put it. And that's really just make sure Sonic isn't too stiff and that he feels good to control when he's both fast and slow. Again, just design the levels around how Sonic moves. Design the world around how Sonic moves. And you won't really have this issue. But I just feel like at least getting the fundamental controls down properly is what Sonic needs the most. But hey, tell me what you think is the most important thing we need in Sonic Frontiers. Overall, I really enjoy making this video, guys. I mean, Sonic Frontiers is something that I'm extremely excited for, and I hope you're excited for it too. Yes, we're gonna get the negative Nancys that are like, you should be cautiously optimistic, or we haven't seen anything. Yes, nobody's saying that. Yes, I get it. We haven't seen gameplay or anything. We shouldn't be hyping up the game, but at the same time, it's a Sonic game. We're Sonic fans. First AAA Sonic game in a while. And on top of that, it's kind of the thing that every Sonic fan has wanted at some point in time in their life. So I said, go ahead and get happy, get hype. Have your expectations high, it doesn't matter. But with that being said, this has been your man Shattuck Stick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video out with your friends. Follow your boy on TikTok and Twitter. Let's get us to 100 followers on TikTok and 400 on Twitter. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Make sure you check out some of my other videos. Have a good one. Peace.
See you, Speed.